Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of Todd Talks. We've got breaking news. We have breaking news. Unearthed Arcana has just dropped, and Jim Davis from WebDM and I are going to break it all down for you.
Absolutely, yes. I'm looking at this for the first time, and it's good because I actually have light now, so I can see it.
Remember how hard it was to read computer screens before you had light?
Exactly, right, exactly. That's okay. I always would have my steam powered printer, just print out the stuff. But
there you go.
I'm curious to hear about the Phantom, because just the name of it, what little I've read, and what I know about how you felt about the Revived.
I felt very strongly about the Revived.
To get into this,
yeah, in the positive category, I thought the Revived was brilliant and lovely. So we've got 3 new subclasses here, relatively new. We've got the Phantom, we've got the Genie, Order of Scribes. The Phantom is replacing the Revived Rogue. The Genie is replacing the revised Warlock Noble Genie. And then Order of Scribes is basically them taking the Archivist, which I was a huge fan of, by the way, for the Artificer, and turning it into a Wizard subclass, which I agree quite a bit with, actually.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
So what the Revived Rogue, for those that don't know, was basically a rogue that was a revenant in many ways. That this is a rogue that learned to cheat death itself. The Phantom Rogue is, I would almost say, the opposite in many ways of that concept of, okay, this rogue has died, as a revived rogue, you died, you've come back maybe several times over and over again. Maybe you made a deal with death. All kinds of great role-playing reasons as to why you have your skills and your knowledge. So Phantom.
What do we got?
Many rogues walk walk a fine line between life and death, risking their own lives and taking lives. While adventuring on that line, some rogues they discover a mystical connection with death, being essentially death dealers themselves.
Sure.
There's a lot of flavor text here about them possibly being henchmen of necromancers.
Okay, I like that part. Right,
right, yeah, certainly. I mean, this is your Renfield maybe in some ways.
Sure, right. Very terrifying Renfield.
Yeah.
But here's it says, in temples of gods of death, the Phantom works as an agent to track down those who try to cheat death. Number one, everyone who's been revivified, and to recover knowledge that might otherwise be lost to the grave. Yeah, that's sort of how I look at those. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to come back.
Yeah, you can take this in this very extreme route of you think anyone who's ever been resurrected should die.
Yeah,
it's a very, first off, this subclass, more than probably anything that they've released so far, feels squarely in the villain category now, whereas the Revive did not, the Phantom does.
Yeah.
That gets very apparent when we get to Whispers of the Dead. So this is that time that we had Grave Bolt and stuff like that. Whispers of the Dead is relatively unchanged. You wake up and you can have a tool proficiency or a skill that you didn't have before. This is handy if you want to just,
sure.
Somehow you walk by a grave and you now remember, you steal the memories of the dead and you learn how to use a poisoner's kit or something like that.
Yeah, it just, that little bit of flavor text change though, it completely changes it to me.
It does.
Yeah.
It is you stealing, which is a rogue thing, certainly.
So is cheating.
And this whole, I also agree. The echoes of those who have died begin to cling to you. So the dead are kind of following you at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear the whispers, and that helps you kind of figure out what to do. We see this in a lot of horror movies, where someone tells you how to open a door or whatever. You just kind of know.
Yeah.
I like this very much better with the flavor of you've been dead before.
Sure.
I just like that whole motif.
You've done this many times. Already, though, what I like about it is that my ancestral guardian barbarian,
right,
that I reskinned as, you just it's all the people this guy's killed. They won't leave him alone.
No.
He's cursed. He's cursed by a hag or something, like a night hag, and so he carries around the spirits of everyone he's killed. And now Now he's got a buddy,
Yeah.
and I'm glad for him.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Similar
That's
sort of like, you could do it like that, right? This could be someone who's cursed.
yeah.
And maybe resists some of the wickedness that's inherent in some of these powers.
Can you multi-class into
Listen,
can you sneak
barbarian
attack
rogues
as a
real fun.
barbarian?
If you're all right, my brother had this question. I ruled yes, but I can't remember if that's rules as written.
Yeah.
Use a dagger with strength instead
Oh my
of
god.
dex.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So then we get to Whales from the Grave, where this is a huge departure. I mean, not the Grave Bolt was necessarily on brand with someone who had cheated death and had been alive multiple times, but as you nudge someone, I love nudge. As you nudge someone or something, I would say, closer to the grave, you can easily you can cause a deathly wail to be heard near them immediately after you deal your sneak attack damage. To a creature on your turn, you can now target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet of the first creature. You roll half the number of sneak attack die that you have for your level, rounded up. The second creature takes that much psychic damage from the wails of the dead around them. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses after a long rest. That's powerful.
Yeah. Wow.
Whales from the Grave is like sneak attack green flame blade.
Right? Yeah. This is within 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like that's I realize, for one, I like this. I'm sold.
Oh, it's real strong.
but just in theme and everything, because this is to me, it's like, it's a little new, especially the feature, how many times you can use it. It's interesting, tied to proficiency bonus.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And it gives rogues a bit more of a daily resource, but it's not the Revenant or not the Revived. I'm fine with that. We still got that UA.
Yeah, I think this is much stronger than Grave Bolt by leaps and bounds. It may be too powerful. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of buddies, the Phantom wants a College of Whispers bard.
Yeah.
And this rogue would just, it'd be like that meme, right there.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you get more than one Phantom in a room?
Oh, okay. So first off, it's a Parliament of Ghosts, which should very well start causing ectoplasm to form on a wall.
Right.
You got a haunting, my friend.
I mean, if you and your buddy are like, I sneak attack and I cause this dude to take damage, and then you're like, I sneak attack and I cause that dude to take more damage. It's like
painful.
That starts getting real hairy really quick, right? Like,
yeah. I think like immediately I would want to throw a couple of these against some of the Star Spawn that do weird things when they're subjected to psychic damage. Just sort of see how it all interacts.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. It's very evocative. It's a fun power. It may be too powerful. I'm not quite sure.
I don't imagine seeing this in print.
So we got token at 9th level, which is a ways. We've got tokens of the departed. When a life ends near you, you create a token. A physical form of your choice, like a tiny trinket, appears in your hand or wherever of that person who died. This is super creepy, and it's almost too much for even me, in the sense that it seems like a serial killer thing. You know what I mean? Like, how they take trophies. While this
it's a very murder hobo thing to do as well. So
while the soul trinket is on your person, you have advantage on death saving throws and constitution saving throws. And I didn't remember reading that. As your vitality is enhanced by the life essence within the object. That's pretty great.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
All right. You have a maximum, but you are now like this very much the soul keeper.
Sure.
You have a maximum number of these soul trinkets equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can't create one while you're at your maximum. As an action, you can destroy one of your soul trinkets, no matter where it's located. When you do so, you can ask that spirit associated with it one question. The spirit does not it appears before you, answers it in the language it knew in life. It's under no obligation to be truthful, and it answers as concisely as possible, eager to be free.
So first off, I would make the player responsible for keeping track of all those.
Well, yeah, that's not on the DM.
That's not on the DM. I'll let you know what their languages were. But that is creepy. Like that's like that's like Death Cleric creepy.
Yeah.
Or like Oathbreaker. The two of them together is creepily enough. But like, yeah, that's a bad guy move. But it's also really cool. I like it, you know.
And it's not like an interrogation, so you can't really barter with them, because I expect if someone died near you, you can probably like, here's the situation with this. If someone died near you and they were a friend, why are you holding on to their spirit in a trinket to gain power? That's a little creepy, I guess. Maybe
weird, I guess.
Unless they wanted you to, who knows? If it's someone you killed, they're not going to tell you nothing.
Sure. Yeah. So okay, here's how I'm using it.
Okay.
Poison. They drink. You're out of the room. They drink it, but it's in like your presence, like if you're behind a curtain or something, so that they don't know what happened.
They don't know you killed
listen,
them.
I've had 20-something years of players trying to get around Speak with Dead. So
wow,
there are a lot of different ways.
Oh wow,
because it's just like when a life ends in your presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things that are attached to souls and like what happens to souls after their pass in D&D and all this other stuff. Like, is this enough to revive someone? Like, could you bring someone back with like true resurrection because you get like a piece of their soul? Like that seems to me sometimes more powerful.
You did create a trinket, so I mean, as the dungeon master, I might rule that was enough.
Yeah. Second question: how much are these soul trinkets worth to liches? Because I can see a swift trade in soul trinket, merchandise to various liches so that they don't have to do all the work of extracting the souls themselves. That's a campaign idea right there.
Yeah.
So yes. Wow. This ability.
Yeah. It's a bit much for even my gothy edgelord tendencies. So Ghost Walk at 13th level, you can now phase partially into the realm of the dead, becoming like a ghost. This existed before. As a bonus action, you assume a spectral form. While in this form, you have a flying speed of 10 feet. You can hover and have attack rolls have disadvantage. Attack rolls have disadvantage against you. You can also move through creatures and objects as if they were, difficult terrain. But you take 1d10 force damage if you end your turn inside it. It's the typical thing. You can't hide outside. You can't hide inside a wall.
Right.
If you stay in this form for 10 minutes or until the end as a bonus action to use this feature, you can use this for about 10 minutes. Okay.
Or you can destroy a soul trinket to get it back.
Okay. Now we're seeing some utility with your trinkets.
Man, there's a lot of creepy things you can do.
Spectral form, you're not getting that resistance to everything kind of thing, but everything has disadvantage and you can hover.
Mm-hmm.
You're tough.
You're like the Matrix twins.
Yeah, you're like the Matrix twins. Everything's the Matrix twins. It's the only good thing that came out of that movie, I think. No, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear that, Todd.
I like the Keymaster.
The Keymaster. First, the Animatrix. Can we all agree that the Animatrix is great?
Yeah, it was really good.
The second two I like for different reasons.
Okay, how about this? I could have gone without a 20-minute freeway fight chase scene that clearly wasn't anywhere and was going in a circle over and over again.
I liked that because it suggested that there was an endless city, nameless city, right?
Welcome to Seattle, everyone.
There you go.
So yeah, that's good. You have utility with your trinkets. Again, this is not the revived in any way.
Yeah, no,
you are a soul dealer.
It's a shame they don't get proficiency in like scythes.
Just for the symbology of it. Death knell. When you use your wails from the grave, that's the thing that you can make people take psychic damage for when you sneak attack somebody else. You can now deal the psychic damage to both the. Hi everyone, sorry we're back. We had some technical difficulties with the internet, but we have returned. We are still talking about the revived rogue and now this new replacement, the Phantom.
Yes.
And I was just going on about how I do very much miss the revived rogue and the idea of a rogue that cheated death, as opposed to a rogue who deals out so much death that they manipulate death itself.
Yeah.
It's two different flavors. It doesn't mean that this one right here isn't fantastic. The Phantom. It seems very, very powerful and very roguish, which is good.
Yeah.
I just missed the revived, and that's I'll leave it at that.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Other than to save your UAs, because the revive is really awesome and the Phantom is really awesome, but you can have both because they're both speak to a roguish archetype, and especially with like the Phantom, if you consider all of the gods of death out there, and that maybe Phantom is more appropriate for some of like a Phantom acolyte.
Yeah,
is really appropriate for something like that, and very D&D.
Yeah, totally. So we got the Warlock. The Genie has had some revisions. Do you want to walk through this?
Yeah. So we have the Genie. The Genie has made a pact with one of the rarest kinds of Genie, a noble Genie. And such entities are rulers of the vast fiefs on the elemental planes and have great influence over lesser Genies and elemental creatures. Noble Genies are varied in their motivations, but are all arrogant and wield power that rivals that of lesser deities. They delight in turning the table on mortals who so love to bind Genies into servitude, readily entering into pacts that expand their reach across the multiverse. And then we get into the good stuff, because you get to choose your patron's kind, or you get to roll it randomly using the Genie kind table. Each kind of Genie is associated with a particular type of element as shown on the table. And if you're familiar with the Monster Manual entries, these are basically those. Tao is associated with earth, the Genie with air, a Freddy with fire, and the Merid with water. And then you get the whole expanded spells list, which has, as I understand it, you have your Genie spells, which everyone gets, and then your individual Genie kind spells. That's how I understand it. Do I have that right, Todd?
That's right.
Yeah, that is really, first off, that's awesome, because it gives a lot more like individuality to each of the classes, but then just like, or each of the types of Warlock here. But like looking through what they get, I am immediately drawn to the fact that there is a 9th level on here. So they're getting a new 9th level spell. Right?
Yep. That is not the usual, is it?
No, it's usually not. Yeah, it's usually like it just goes up to 5th, because that's when you start getting your greater arcana. I forget what they're called for a Warlock. But you get Wish, which is really awesome.
It is fundamental to this subclass.
Yeah.
And this is my argument for the Artificer is previously was I felt like the Artificer should get an infusion that is clone, that is the replication of the spell clone, essentially, at the appropriate level. I think this is very much in that kind of vein. And I don't know how you make a Warlock Genie without getting Wish eventually.
Yeah.
And I like the spell selection. I think it's really great.
Good.
It's
anything
really solid.
Jumping out at you, because I'm looking at like Create Food and Water is classic. Creation, those are some fun spells, especially casting them with like Warlock spell slots.
That's something we gotta keep in mind.
Right.
I love all these. I feel like if you're really into Jinn, this is perfect. I wouldn't add anything to this. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's got everything that you would expect to see. And to me, the way that like Genies and the 4 types of them are set up in like classic Dungeons and Dragons, with the elemental planes being this warring zone that's like with creatures that are sentient components of their elemental planes. And like, to me, I feel like that this is a Warlock. I'm happy to see it now. I wish I'd gotten it sooner, but that's okay, because we got it now.
Yeah,
and
it feels like more of the Planeswalker Warlock now, in a way.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, because it's like, for me, the Fiend and the Great Old One as like the baseline options for Warlock really tinges the class, and I always felt it could have used another neutral patron. Whereas like, and I think maybe Divine Soul could cover that depending on which way you go, but Genie really fulfills that.
Well, Celestial Warlock
or Celestial, yes. Sorry, not Sorcerer.
That was usually the more good, even though you could play an evil person, as I always like to, who has a Celestial pact, because someone's going to do the dirty work. This is that neutral one. This is the neutral Warlock right up there. no, they didn't make a Clockwork Warlock, did they? I begged for one, but yeah. Yeah, let's go through some of these abilities. I mean, these all feel pretty standard and fitting. The spell list, I'm already like blown away with and happy. Like,
oh yes, it's really good. It's really good. But here we have Genie's Vessel, first level Genie feature. Your patron gifts you a magical vessel that grants you a measure of the Genie's power. The vessel is a tiny object, and you can use it as a spell casting focus for your Warlock spells. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the Genie's Vessel table. We got 6 entries. Some of them are really cool. I like Stoppered Bottle is classic.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ornate Lantern.
Ornate Lantern I'm drawn to, because then I would want to reskin this as literally, again, going back to the revived rogue, going back to like Stingy Jack and Jack-o'-lantern myth, right? Like, what if this was a different entity that you have made a deal with, and this is your whole thing, this creepy lantern?
Who knows what kind of weird things the elemental princes get up to?
Yeah, exactly.
And the various pacts that they make with other entities.
Yeah.
So while you are touching your vessel, you can use it in the following ways. There is Bottled Respite. As an action, you can magically vanish and enter your vessel. That is awesome. Which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 feet high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is comfortably appointed with cushions, etc. And while you're inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in its space. You can remain inside there for a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is a meaty.
This is first level.
Really cool. I really like this.
This is so weird at first level. Like, you get some things at first level for every class, right?
Yeah.
Subclass. You are literally going into a bottle. You very much signed on to a very particular type of D&D campaign.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd be hucking that dude. I'd be like having the warlock like go inside a bottle and chucking it over the castle walls.
Right. Exactly.
Can I cast catapults on their device? Can I shoot that people?
It's an object. Yeah.
Yeah, so or like shoot it. What if it's a really tiny hollow statue that you tie to an arrow, right? And, like it's an arrowhead. I mean, you can get really cheesy.
Get really cheesy, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna hop in my bottle, like drop me down in the bottom of this lake where someone else is gonna pick me up. I'll be all right. Or like, oh man, we got to get across this chasm. All right, no problem, guys. Just hold on to my lantern. And then like you can bypass so many things like that are environmental challenges or overcome them with like, just carry me.
Hi everyone, we are back again. Sorry, it's the internet is having a day apparently. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think the Genie is very thematic right now. I think it's it's kind of like what you want. The bottle thing is super powerful for level 1. And then you get the Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. That type of this damage is determined by your patron. Bludgeoning, or I'm gonna murder these words. Thunder, fire, or cold. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
The vessel has an AC equal to your spell save DC. And has hit points equal to your warlock level. If destroyed, it takes a 1-hour ceremony basically to put the Genie back in the bottle, basically.
Oh yeah. This is why I created a warlock spell that's a ritual that basically propitiates your patron. It does nothing but like explain how awesome they are, how much you love them. So that before you have to replace one of these, they don't just give you the worst one.
Yeah,
like, right. Sorry, I broke the thing. I love this. First off, like I'm reading several times, it's talking about the vessel being destroyed. And I'm like, oh, how tough is it? This could like make or break the feature, right? And then it's like, wait a minute, it's AC equals your save DC. And it has equal hit points equal to your warlock level plus your proficiency bonus. Like, oh, that's cool. Like that prevents it from like casually being broken, Yeah. I like that.
No, it's cool. And then because we are running a little late on time, Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter the genie's vessel via the bottle respite feature, you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and they are drawn into the vessel with you. This is crazy. This is a 10th level. It's
Oh yeah.
basically better than Tiny Hut. As a bonus action, you can inject a number of those creatures from the vessel. Everyone is ejected if you leave the vessel yourself or it is destroyed. In addition to that, anyone, including you, who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of finishing a short rest. Doesn't a short rest only take 10 minutes?
An hour for, I think, by
it's an hour. That's right.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people do 10 minutes.
Pretty handy feature for a warlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you do like a hide in plain sight kind of thing where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of other urns in here. You know, how are they going to know it's our urn? Or, you know, if it's a ring, you know, I think there's a lot of cool ways you could use this feature.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find villains that would know exactly what was going on here. Right. And anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of a short rest here. That's fantastic. Cool. Yeah. That's really powerful. This is where we get to the meat and the potatoes. This is limited wish. Go ahead and run us through that. Yes.
So this is a 14th level feature. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you could speak your desire into your genie's vessel, requesting the effect of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any class's spell list, and you don't need to meet the requirements in that spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of this action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish D4 long rests. 1D4 long rests. I like the addition of a variable recharge because, man, 6th level of any class and like you don't need to meet any requirements. I'm assuming that means somatic and verbal components as well, other than needing to speak the desire.
Right.
So, wow, that's really cool.
No, it's really shaped up to be a very solid subclass.
Yeah, I really like this, and like it's a cool way to use limited wish because limited wish is one of those spells that has like a legacy in D&D, but it's also kind of lame. It's just like use this spell to cast any other spell, and while that's powerful in a mechanic sense, I don't know that it needs to be on everybody's spell list, but it's really thematic here, and that's really cool. I'd play a Genie Warlock.
So I will say,
certainly,
we're gonna move on to the wizard.
Okay. How much time we got left?
We've got 30 minutes or 25 minutes, and we're going to need it because this is my favorite wizard so far.
Oh, yes.
Just saying it. Order of Scribes. Perfect. I love was originally the Archivist Artificer, which I loved as well. This, as you know, as many wizards, they always have scrolls. They always have books. They always have weighty tomes or looking for tomes to learn secrets and all kinds of other lore and learn new spells. This wizard, the Order of Scribes, seeks to actually awaken the magic within their spellbook itself. Yes. And it almost becomes a very trusted companion. So this is almost like your spellbook is your familiar in a lot of different ways. It's something I love because this bridges the gap between at what point do you become something like Sauron, right? Like at what point are you a Horcrux, from Harry Potter? And they just kind of dive into it. The Wizardly Quill at 2nd level. As a bonus action, you can magically create a tiny quill in your freehand. The magic quill has the following properties. The quill doesn't require ink, which, hey, that's great. When you write with it, it produces ink in the color of your choice on the writing surface. The golden time you spend to copy a spell into your spellbook is halved, which is fantastic if you've got that kind of campaign. You can erase anything that you write with the quill if you wave the feather over the text as a bonus action, provided that the text is within 5 feet of you.
All right.
It'd be interesting if you just had invisible ink and you would like write documents and then they would just go away. But
and I'm assuming it can write on any surface. Like it doesn't say. I don't know. It
doesn't say that it can't. I would kind of like also make it like the space pen, right, from the 1980s. That can write in any kind of environment.
Oh sure, yeah.
where this really starts to come online is the Awakened Spellbook. You especially prepare inks and ancient incantations passed down to you by your wizardly order. You awaken an arcane sentience within your spellbook. While you're holding the book, it grants you the following benefits. You can use the book as a spellcasting focus. Of course, I want this. When you cast a wizard spell with a spell slot, you can temporarily replace its damage type with the damage type of another spell that is in your spell book.
Yes.
Exactly. As your spell book magically alters the spell's formula for the casting. This is so evocative in one sentence.
Yeah.
Because I have Acid Splash, right? Or something, or if that's counted. And I've got Fireball.
Be a spell slot. You could do the Acid Stream that they released not long ago.
Yeah, you got Acid Stream, whatever. You know the math. You got your spell book. Your spell book's trying to help you out. So you make Acid Ball. Like, you know? This is very much like that sorcerer feature that was in the variant UA where you could spend points and change any of your damage types. I love that this means that if you have a healthy understanding of cold damaging spells or fire damaging spells or acid, you can figure out the right thing to say at the right time to switch it up. There was a wonderful video game called Dungeon Master, not D&D related, probably got sued.
I was gonna say.
You could type in the little runes, and the thing is you didn't need to know the spells. You had like this spell book of just runes that you could eventually look up, and like I'll never forget my friends and I and my brother were messing around with this thing because you would find scrolls that told you the right order. You could figure it out yourself. You're like, okay, this is the symbol for air, this is the symbol for movement, and then what if I click fire? And then you kind of like click send. This is the 90s. But they were facing a wall, and they discovered the fireball spell.
That's awesome.
And everyone died.
Everyone died. Yeah, backsplash. Have you ever played Legend of Grimrock? Because I think that was maybe inspired by that game.
Oh, yes. Legend of Grimrock.
Legend of Grimrock is
very, very inspired by it. Yeah, absolutely.
This is awesome. To bring us to just not to derail us from I love Grimrock and I love Dungeon Master, but like I love that it gives a flavor for this Awakened Spellbook, because one of the things that I usually see when Wizards starts encroaching upon meta magic, it's like let sorcerers have their meta magic, like let that be their unique thing. But I see this as like a really strong way of like, no, not every wizard can do this. Yeah, you have to like spend time with your spellbook and like really consider it as a part of the world. Like, who gave you that spellbook? Surely it was like given to you by your master when you were an apprentice. And does it have a lineage of spell books, you know?
Yeah, possibly. Or you're just the scientist of wizards, really. Like, you know, this could be an Iron Man thing of like, hey, I just know these things. Like, I just know how to like figure out. If I know how to do this, I know how to do that. I'm not burdened by how these spells have been cast for, you know, eons. I know how to switch this up. This is very much the guy who can or girl or whatever that can just invent their own spells.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like it. That's only the second feature.
That's only the second feature. When you cast a wizard spell as a ritual, you can use your spell's normal casting time rather than adding 10 minutes to it. Once you use this benefit, you can do so again, and not until you finish a long rest. That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
If necessary, you can replace this book. Short rest. Do all this stuff. You don't have to get into that. Master Scrivener. Scrivener.
Yeah.
Master Scrivener. It's a good name for a character.
That's an old word.
It is for real, Scrivener?
I think it's Scrivener. Or something like that. Or maybe Scrivener. I don't know. It doesn't have an H in it. I think Dan German. I think it's a great word.
I think Jeremy Crawford's trying to trip me up with this one. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create a magical scroll by touching your wizardly quill to the blank piece of paper or the parchment, causing one spell from your Awakened spellbook to be copied onto that scroll. The spellbook must be within 5 feet of you. When you make the scroll, the chosen spell can only be of first or second level. This evokes a little bit of what artificers can do later, and I'm okay with it. I don't mind that bleed over. So you're basically creating a scroll that someone else can use and cast. It has to be one action, and And also, if you are adept at creating scrolls, and I like that they did this with artificers as well, when creating magical items, and the golden time that you must spend to make such a scroll is halved if you use your wizardly quill. I love it.
Awesome.
This is you making scrolls for your party, preparing the rogue, maybe, right?
Wizard hasn't had this since the very first Unearthed Arcana.
Yeah.
Remember the one that was like the Eberron options, and Artificer was a wizard subclass, and it was like you could make potions, you could make scrolls. Like, I mean, you can always make scrolls through downtime, but this kind of like, no, here we go. I made this while you guys slept.
Yeah. I did all this for you.
Right. That's really cool.
I love this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so happy.
Yeah. And there's already a lot of thematic overlap between Artificer and Wizard, and they share a casting stat. So like, this makes perfect sense.
Yeah. This is definitely my favorite wizard of all time. This to me is the most wizardy wizard in many ways. Manifest Mind at 10th level. I think my voice is a little hot right now for some reason in chat, so I apologize. So Manifest Mind. This is when you really get that kind of artificial intelligence thing that we got from the Archivist Artificer. You've awakened your spellbook to the point of, you can use a bonus action and you can have a mind that manifests in a tiny spectral construct hovering around an unoccupied space. This is your Jarvis. So now your intelligent spellbook has its own intelligence. It has its own thoughts. The spectral mind has a number of hit points equal to your wizard level, plus your intelligence, saving throw modifiers, armor class, and saving throw modifier, all influenced by your intelligence. Cool. It's fantastic. While manifested, the spectral mind can hear and see. It has dark vision, a range of 60 feet. As an action, you can hear and see using its senses, so it really becomes your familiar. Whenever you cast a wizard spell, you can now cast those spells through the spectral mind. So imagine you just have this floating, glowing object that floats out of your spell book, and now you can use it to shoot fireballs or whatever out of it. And have a good look around corners, right?
That's really cool.
I love this so much. As a bonus action, you can cause the spectral mind to hover 30 feet in an unoccupied space. It can pass through creatures, but not objects. The spectral mind, that's got to be upsetting. The spectral mind, I just have this little look-see. It has dark vision. See how that wound's doing. It's got some 300 feet is some decent range.
That's a good range. There are a lot of dungeons that aren't bigger than 300 feet on either side.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. This is a very kind of it's just cool. It is one of my favorite things about the Archivist.
I'm reminded a lot of, for one, right? I love that part of the Archivist as well, but it reminds me a lot of like Bob from the Dresden Files. Where sort of like it inhabits a skull, but it's a spirit, and it knows all these things. And it's kind of a familiar, kind of not. And I don't think you can cast spells through or anything, but it's powerful in its own right. And like I can totally see something like this.
Well, there is no reason you can't do that, in a sense that a wizard can turn anything to a spell book. It doesn't have to be a spell book. It could be magical incantations that you wrote on the back of a shield, right? Or a skull. Like maybe you wrote, not to reference Man of Steel, but you see all that writing on that skull, the codex at the beginning of the film. What if you have a skull that has all this deeply written knowledge inscribed into every bone, every fragment of it? And that's your spell book.
What if those bones were your master's bones, and when you die, it's already inscribed on your
spell book,
and you got to pass your bones on to somebody else?
Oh my god.
Or what if it's like they're on the inside of your skull because that's your brain has written it.
Brain is writing this book. Oh my god, that is the best. That's just, we shouldn't give away that kind of gold on a live stream.
It's just a little bit,
that that I'm concerned now. That makes wizards a target. People are going to want to crack open your skull to get your magic out.
You know, exactly. That's that's what Illithids are doing, right? They just extract it and then they give you the empty one. You know.
Oh my God. Okay. Very cool. Oh, thank you, Jim Davis. Everyone.
Way to take it and ruin it, Jim.
way to nightmare fuel that one up. At 14th level, your connection to your awakened spellbook has become so profound that your soul has become intertwined with it. While you are holding the book, its spectral mind is manifest. You can take an action and cause the two of you to completely teleport and swap places. You can teleport in this way a number of times. Now, it's not with your spellbook, it's with your spectral mind that you basically create. You can teleport in this way a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses of this after a long rest. This gives you lots of mobility. Moreover, if you die, and this is I love so much. This is one of my favorite elements in all of Unearthed Arcana so far, is moreover, and it is a lot of moreover.
Yeah.
If you die, but at least one spell remains in your awakened spellbook, you can return to life 1 minute later within 5 feet of your book. You revive with 1 hit point, and then roll 3d6. The book loses spells of your choice that have a combined spell level equal to that roll or higher. For example, if the roll's 9, a spell vanishes from that book that has the combined level of at least 9, which could mean a 9th level spell or a whole bunch of 3rd level spells. Thereafter, you are incapable of casting the lost spells.
Ooh.
If you find them on a scroll or in another spellbook, the only way to restore your ability to cast those spells ever again is to cast a wish spell, which can restore 1 spell to the book per casting.
Right up until that last paragraph, I was like, okay, right, so you keep a master spell book back home. It's not awakened, and transfer back. But the cost to this is like, this is interesting.
This is an interesting cost. And who do you want to die?
Right?
This is immortality in a way. I mean, unless someone figures out your crap, you can live forever.
Are you playing in? Sorry, I didn't mean. Are you playing in like the version of D&D that has like all of those 2nd edition spells? Remember, like the small book. There was like 8 of them.
Right.
So there are some D&D campaigns where like losing access to 9 1st level spells is like, all right, I have a lot more.
You got a lot to work with. I like the cost of it.
Yeah,
you're coming back from the dead. Your spell book's pretty tough. I wish you could choose to be aware actually in like that genie bottle and just come pop up maybe like 30 minutes later. It reminds me of Dragon Slayer, the film from the 80s, where they take the old wizard's ashes and then they throw it into the lake of fire and then he's resurrected. A little bit of flavor like that.
There's really cool. There's really cool things.
This is a nice alternative to being a lich, and if it made you also ageless, then I would be totally I'm totally down. And I like having to make this choice. Okay, what spells am I willing to lose forever?
Right. Yeah, and that's a 3d6 roll because it could be bad. You could roll like 9 is a little bit below average on that. Yeah. So you could easily get get a bad roll.
It could wipe you out pretty bad. But I mean, you're coming back from the dead. You are immortal. And immortal in many ways.
And then by giving you a way to get it back, you built in like a quest loop. Because this guy's constantly questing for whatever he needs to have for the wish spell or find a wish or something like that to get these spells back.
Yeah.
And I really like the way it interacts. More classes need a self-res. Like this D&D, by the time you're in 14th level, you're getting up there into the, 3rd tier-ish almost. And by 3rd and 4th tier, self-res should be fine. You're beyond mortal limits at that point,
I love this. This is if I am to play a wizard ever, I'm playing this because this is the most wizardy. Like I love having to sit down and like spend gold to learn spells. I love looking for spell books like Raceland did in Dragonlance. And that the fact that you become so tied and connected to your spell book your blood, sweat, and tears into this thing.
Yeah.
It can bring you back to life. You can summon different things. I genuinely adore it. I think it fits better than it did for the Archivist. I was always in love with the Archivist, but I like being able to email myself now as well. Yeah, I'm just kind of gushing. I think this wizard is fantastic. I miss the revived rogue, but this wizard is, I think, worth it.
Yeah, I have, yes, you know,
Order of Scribes. I mean,
Scribes is great. I'm glad, because I felt like Wizard is not enough has been available, and I get that some of the core classes are not everybody's cup of tea, or some of the core subclasses for Wizard, but I also feel like there's more to the Wizard than what we've seen.
Right.
And like, this is really like showing us a new side, and really what I love about it is like, it's the wizardiest wizard, right? Like you're saying, it's the most wizardly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'll take it. I'll play this one over any of the others so far.
I do want to remind everyone in chat, if you don't forget to follow us, also subscribe to D&D Beyond, and you will get all kinds of amazing emotes, I believe. Or Obo Lauren can drop a few of those. We got Butter, we got the Phoenix, we've got Psychic Damage, we've got Adam Bradford's head. We've got, what else do we got? We got a lot going on in the old emote department.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. We got Bush with eyes. So yeah, if you want to follow us, that's fantastic. We have a very judgmental owl. And if you subscribe, we have tons of new emotes. Oh, we have Todd Pack. That's all old reference to Origins, when we went there and people started chanting my name. It's not gonna get better than that. We'll let you know right now.
No.
And Later Gator. Oh, that's a great one too. So don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel. And as well, later today, we are a regularly scheduled Todd Talks is happening at 2. That's when we're going to talk about mental health and Dungeons and Dragons with a really great panel. And then at 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I am playing in Silver and Steel. It's a very, it feels very much like The Witcher. We've got B. Dave Walters, who's fantastic, in there as Freely, myself, who is okay. And then I am playing with my wonderful wife, Megan Kenreck, and our characters are actually married in game, so it's pretty hilarious to see that dynamic. And Freely is my former warlock. I used to be his patron, so that's very quirky and strange. And Jasmine, that bronze girl, is the dungeon master. It's a great show. Check it out. It's really awesome. And of course, Lauren Urban is in it, playing the weirdest Warforged and also the best Warforged ever made, with a soul knife. It's amazing. Yeah, a Warforged that creates energy knives is just peak. So where can we find you, Jim Davis? WebDM, you've got Patreon, you got things.
We got all kinds of things. Yeah, so you can check us out on our main YouTube channel, WebDM, where we're talking about all kinds of D&D stuff and other tabletop RPG related subjects, but mostly D&D. We also have a second YouTube channel, WebDM Plays, where a lot of our live plays are archived. So you guys go check us out there. And yes, we have a Patreon where Pruitt and I continue to run our mouths off about D&D and related topics. And it's also sort of the channel where, if you're looking for like the first hot off the presses sort of WebDM news, usually drops on Patreon first before the wider viewing public. So yeah, that is where I'm at, and that's where we are. And we are filming we're filming episodes in the basement. It's a little bit of new format, but yeah,
it's a very old format too.
Exactly. Right. What's new for us, but yes, we're in the same boat everybody else is. So we do what we can.
Well, from my Ravenloft to your basement. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you, Jim Davis, for deciding to be part of this breaking news Todd Talks on Unearthed Arcana. I was too excited. I couldn't wait. I felt like the video had to happen now. So, and we did. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching. Be kind to each other. Stay safe, everyone, and we love you. Have a great day.